From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up on AgDay, taking conservation to a whole new level.
We learned quickly how to suppress the weeds and how to rotate certain items that would benefit the next crop.
See how it's done at one of the nation's largest organic farms. It's today's edition of America's Conservation Ag Movement. What China is saying regarding the latest trade talks with the U.S. and the push to get the new U.S.-Canada-Mexico agreement through Congress takes a big step forward.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado and the all-new Silverado HD, the strongest, most advanced family of Silverados ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. We began with a developing story we've been following. The Associated Press reporting House Democrats are nearing a tentative agreement with labor leaders over the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal. As reported, details still need to be finalized, and the U.S. Trade Representative needs to submit the implementing legislation to Congress. AgDay's Betsy Gibbon joins us now. And Betsy, there's a lot more work that needs to be done here.
Clinton, here's what's going on. For months, House Democrats have wanted provisions in USMCA, especially when it comes to labor. Now there's a tentative agreement between Democrats and the White House to rewrite a portion of the deal. Washington, D.C. may be one step closer to a U.S., Mexico, and Canada trade agreement in 2019.
We need these things to get done.
House Democrats reaching a tentative agreement with labor leaders and the White House on labor enforcement in the deal. Tentative is the key word. It needs to be ratified by Congress. NPPC says Mexico will need to vote on the revised language, if not the entire deal. Ag organizations say they hope this new tentative agreement is one step closer towards a final ratification.
Mexico and Canada take about 40% of U.S. pork exports. So it's obviously critical for them. This is very good news if it does get ratified with good, with strong bipartisan support. Obviously, for export reasons, it's important for our producers, but it also demonstrates to other potential trading partners that Congress and the administration can get trade deals done.
If this tentative agreement does not become permanent, Wiesmeyer believes USMCA could still be passed in 2020. CNBC reporting if the White House sends a legislation to Congress by December 15th, the House could vote on it by December 18th. Clinton?
All right, thanks, Betsy. As for China, new tariffs are scheduled to kick in this coming Sunday, but Chinese officials are saying they hope to make a trade deal with the U.S. as soon as possible. Reuters reporting intense discussions are going on right now. An assistant commerce minister saying, quote, "We wish that both sides can, on the foundation of equality and mutual respect, push forward negotiations and in consideration of each other's core interest, reach an agreement that satisfies all sides as soon as possible," end quote. China has asked for some of the U.S. tariffs currently in place to be removed before agreeing to any Phase 1 trade deal. But President Trump wants China to commit to specific purchases of U.S. ag goods and agree to concessions on intellectual property rights. But there is some good news for farmers when it comes to trade with China. Soybean imports by China rose to the highest level in 3 months. That's after port congestion eased and more American beans cleared customs. China bought more than 8 million tons in November. That's the most since August, according to new customs data. That's up 34% from October and up 54% from a year ago. Happening later today, we'll get a better idea of where we stand with harvest and overall production. USDA releasing a new WASDE report. One reason eyes are on this report is because harvest is not yet complete. Analysts say USDA will have to account for those acres.
If necessary, they'll come back and resurvey later in the winter. They've indicated such, but they have to consider it for their stocks report as existing someplace, and so it's considered on-farm stored.
The reports will be released today at noon Eastern. Look for AgDay to bring you coverage online later today and tomorrow morning on AgDay. Temperatures are plunging in portions of the country this morning. Meteorologist Cindy Clausen joins us now with more.
That's right, Clinton. Check out these temperatures. We are looking at below zero temperatures in spots this morning in the north central United States, and it's not going to get much warmer as we get into the afternoon. So a very cold start to the day. Look at the wind chill temperatures that we are expecting. These are the feels like temperatures this morning. 20 below zero is what it's feeling like in Bismarck, and then as you get through the day, those feels like temperatures, especially Minnesota into parts of South Dakota and North Dakota. The afternoon, Wind chill temperatures still well below zero, so very cold air in the north central United States, even over towards parts of the Great Lakes as well. All right, let's take a look at some beauty here. Check out this sea of red from a nursery in Woodburn, Oregon. This greenhouse grows poinsettias to be sold for fundraisers. Christmas comes early for the nursery. They start to produce the plant in the summer. Ideally, they want all of these sold before Christmas, since there isn't a market for poinsettias after December 25th. Today, there are an abundance of varieties, including the classic red colored poinsettia. I'll take a look at your national forecast coming up.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
When we come back, a preview of today's WASDE report and a closer look at counting those unharvested bushels. And later we'll head out to the Golden State to see how this farm is fighting weeds and creating a sustainable system for its organic vegetables. Austria's ban on the weed killer glyphosate won't take effect on January 1st as originally planned. The country's parliament voted in July to ban the herbicide, which is best known as the ingredient in Roundup. But the interim chancellor informed the legislature's speaker she won't promote the legislation because of a legal technicality. European Union regulations require the EU's Executive Commission to be notified of the draft law, but that didn't happen. It isn't immediately clear what the next step will be.
Today in the grain market, soybeans were up yet again. China is buying 2 cargoes of shipments. That announcement coming out really sending the market up higher yet again to start this week. After Beijing did give some tariff waivers, really sent the markets higher. And I think that the futures were higher for the 4th day in a row. So it's been a solid rebound. We have to really be careful because there's still a week left before the U.S.-China talks will come to a screeching halt, or December 15th, where there's going to be a new tariffs are supposed to be engaged. That has everyone a little bit nervous, but today the market still has, really got some energy behind it, and we're up over double digits at a particular point.
Last week's crop progress numbers showed North Dakota with just 36% of the corn crop in the state being harvested. With so much crop still out there in the field, how will USDA account for those bushels? Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan has more.
Here now with Arlen Suderman of INTLFC Stone. All right, when we look at harvest and we knew it was going to be late. We've been talking about this. We talked to you, several times this fall about how slow harvest is. Yet, when you look at North Dakota specifically, USDA last week said how much of the crop was still in the field as of last Monday?
Well, 3/4 of it, almost, of the crop still in the field in North Dakota, and some of that's going to be there till spring thaw. Unfortunately, farmers there are already worried about prevent plant for next year in 2020.
So then how does USDA account for that crop that's still in the field when we don't know quantity, we don't know quality? I mean, there's still a lot of questions about what's there.
They're in the process of surveying farmers. The first 2 weeks of December is the time they're doing that. They have to come up with their final production numbers, if that's possible, for the January crop report, and their quarterly stocks numbers, which are supposed to be as of December 1st. Well, December 1st, we had 1.4 billion bushels still in the field across the Midwest. So how do you figure a production report, but yet stocks report? So the only way they can do it is consider those bushels in the field as stored on farm. So they have to ask the farmers, if it's not harvested, what will it yield? What do you think? This report is going to be mostly about farmer surveys. So the accuracy of the January report is going to come down to how well does the farmer know what's in the field? Will he overestimate? Will he underestimate? That will impact the accuracy of that report.
Okay, so again, how many bushels, put it into bushels, how many bushels are sitting in the field in North Dakota alone?
North Dakota alone, we're talking about north of 200 million bushels just in that state.
So January, it's based on farmer surveys, and we know in the previous farmer surveys, in the summer, farmers did a pretty good job sometimes of estimating, but it's really hard, we know, when you're sitting there, morale has declined because you're just afraid that we're not going to get this crop out, Arlen. yet we seem to always do, and this could be a year that maybe that doesn't happen.
And we have to include that much, not all, but much of that corn is low test weight, wet, low test weight corn. It's going to have huge discounts. We're seeing cash corn prices with the discounts in the low $2 range. It's really tough on farmers up there, and it's a real concern. And that will impact yield. That will impact the quarterly stocks reports. We'll have shrinkage in the bin, which results in fewer bushels coming out later in the year than what went into the bin. USDA has indicated if they need to, they will resurvey. I remember one other time they did that during the winter, and so we may have an additional adjustment down the road.
All right, Arlen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll have a check of weather right here on Ag Day.
Contact Arlen Suderman by email at arlen.suderman@intlfcstone.com.
A real mix Monday, weather-wise in Iowa, everything from rain to ice and snow, like in this video from the National Weather Service in Des Moines. If it wasn't heavy snow cutting down on visibility, it was ice, which caused a multi-car pileup on busy I-80 in the eastern part of the state. And we see that kind of mix of weather, Cindy, as we look across the national map here all the way south.
Yeah, that whole system's pushing to the east, and you can see even a little bit of snow in parts of the south and some of that frozen precipitation. Let's take a look. That cold air coming all the way down into the south. Not as cold as, of course, what we're seeing up north, but cold enough to see a little bit of frozen precipitation, snow, and some freezing rain in these cooler parts of the morning. We dry out then on the back side of that front, but we are going to be extremely cold. Putting this into motion, everything moves off to the east, and so especially some of those areas in parts of the Tennessee, Ohio Valley, we're going to see some snow on the back side of this. Mostly rain as you get a little closer to the front. Now, as we get into the overnight hours and then into early part of Wednesday, the colder air and the snow starts to kind of move up into the mid-Atlantic states and into the northeast. High pressure sinks south. We're going to see things drying out in parts of the south central United States with the rain in the southeast and some rain and snow in the northeastern parts of the United States. We'll see some wet weather out west as well. A couple of fronts moving through, bringing some rain and upper elevation snow. Through the day on Wednesday, most of us start to dry out. We will see some lake snows in the Great Lakes there, and we'll see that next system moving into the Pacific Northwest. Here's a look at our precipitation. The past 24 hours have been, especially with that front in the east and the tail end of that in parts of Texas. You can see all of that wet weather, some of that in the form of snow. Not quite as much out west, at least what it amounts to in a rain gauge. Now, the snowfall estimate has been mostly in the Great Lakes. If you add the next 24 hours, we do accumulate a little bit, especially here in parts of the east heading into mid-Atlantic states, more so as you get into that much colder air up towards the Great Lakes. Let's take a look at those temperatures though. Man, is it going to be chilly. We're looking at high temperatures today only in the single digits and maybe even below zero for parts of northern Minnesota, perhaps over into northeastern North Dakota. And these are very chilly temperatures. Even down in Memphis, a high of only 36 is pretty chilly for them. You have to go all the way down to Florida to get the really warm air into the 80s. It's even chilly down in Texas where we're only seeing lower to middle 50s there. Overnight, those temperatures well below zero in the north central United States. We're getting down into the 20s, even down into parts of the southeast before, at least on the back side of that cold front. And then as we look at the jet stream, look at that trough that's just rotating around in the north central United States. Eventually, that's going to lift up. We'll see kind of a weaker one into the weekend, but then we see some more cold air coming in as we get into the weekend, and into the next week, we'll see yet another trough coming into parts of the west. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check on the weather where you live. Redway, California, mostly cloudy with some rain later on today and a high of 59 degrees. Walker, Minnesota, mostly sunny and frigid with a high of only 1 below zero. Then Camden, Alabama, rain likely with falling temperatures, high early 68.
Sometimes you have to get creative on the farm. And that's just what one of the nation's largest organic farms is doing when it comes to conservation. An inside look at some creative ideas coming up in America's conservation ag movement.
America's conservation ag movement is brought to you by these great foundational partners, empowering resilient and sustainable agriculture.
Creating a sustainable farming system isn't a one-size-fits-all proposition. In Bakersfield, California, Grimway Farms has created a production process That's helped build one of the largest vegetable farms in the country. Inch by inch, row by row, Grimway Farms in Bakersfield, California is prepping for another successful harvest.
So we're trying to build a little bit of an edge here with this cultivator, and what will happen, the sun will hit this edge and transfer the heat into the bed, and it helps speed the growth up a little bit.
This field of organic carrots takes farm president Jeff Huckabee right back to his roots.
But I've been a carrot guy for 30 years. I love growing carrots.
And today, they're growing more than 40,000 acres of carrots a year.
Soil looks great. Got good moisture in it.
But it's not just carrots. Grimway Farms produces more than 135 seasonal and year-round products shipped worldwide.
You look at how we farm today on the 48,000 acres, and we don't farm any differently than we did when we had 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 acres.
Behind their footprint is a dedication to conservation agriculture and organic production.
But we were in the right place at the right time. The big organic movement had just started, and we were able to produce high-quality products year-round, and that was huge for our success.
That success centered on building a farming system different from their conventional operation.
Organics, we've learned very quickly on that you cannot cut corners, you cannot not cover crop.
It's also about building microbiology in the soil and trying to improve our greatest resource, which is the soil.
That includes unwavering rules around crop rotations.
They fit the timing of the crop that you're in, but that they balance each other out. Each crop that we do has to benefit the next crop.
Carrots only grow in the same spot every third year, an effort to avoid disease and pests like nematodes. Then there are the weeds.
So we're going through right now and burning this.
Creative, chemistry-free burn down, self-made compost, and strict row cultivation makes every weed a target.
We learned quickly how to suppress the weeds and how to rotate certain items that would benefit the next crop.
Grimway has also found other ways to incorporate conservation into the operation.
Here in California, the sun shines all the time.
They built a solar farm to help power their facilities, and they have plans to add to it. They also have taken to recycling or reusing all of the materials on the operation, including the pallets. Conservation also means water, including strategically storing water to help balance seasons of excess with periods of drought. The pressure-sealed pipe, drip irrigation, pivot systems all work together to minimize the use and the loss of water.
Like I said, a beautiful stand, the soil's nice, a very clean field.
A system built for big yields.
You don't need to sit there and think that, well, I'm only going to get half the production.
At a farm built to supply in every market.
I think we've proven that you can get equal production on organics versus conventional if done right.
1 row, 1 inch, and 1 carrot at a time. Our thanks to Grimway for sharing their story. Love fruit but hate the seeds? Another fruit is going seedless. See how it's grown next in the country.
Let the proven performance of Prosaro fungicide maximize your grain quality, yield, and profit this season.
The days of dealing with seeds and lemons may be over thanks to the arrival of the seedless lemon. Have you seen these? Premium, naturally seedless, non-GMO lemons are now available in some U.S. stores. They're called Wonderful Seedless Lemons. Limited seasonal production is now available until May of next year. Now the lemons are packed in a bag of 6 that sells for $2.99. That's around 50 cents per seedless lemon compared to 69 cents per regular lemon. The goal of this new lemon is simply to improve the experience of those who find seeds in their lemons a nuisance.
We are growing about 4,000 acres of seedless lemons in 3 distinct different regions in California that matures in different times. We're also expanding into Mexico, which will allow us to provide year-round fruit to the consumer.
He says these lemons are grown the same way as all lemons, but these end up with a smooth exterior and are a little more juicy than regular lemons. He adds that this is the first year the lemons were finally ready after being planted back in 2015 and predicts this will now become the limit of the future. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.